he could solve all the problems with his brain.
Busquets doesn't need to cool down, he's the coolest player on the planet.
His position on the pitch and his knowledge of the game very high.
My opinion, one of the best midfielders in the world.
I always think of the players over the last 10 or 20 years who've played in the Premiership, the top players, the Shearers, Henrys, Gerrards, Giggs. He's up there with all them boys.
Fàbregas was the most complete for a
well,
young
he was a
player.
midfield player. He was brilliant.
His brain was like 10 years ahead.
Spanish midfielders, they are really something mesmerizing for the human eye. Spain produced and still are producing so many technically gifted players that they ended up having Xavi and Iniesta. Both considered one of the greatest midfielders ever, winning 3 consecutive international trophies in a dominant way with Spain, especially that 2012 Euro. They forgot to use forwards in that final, so they ended up having 6 midfielders as starters in the final. So what about the other 4? The other 4 that helped Spain score 4 against Italy? Well, today we will talk about them and show how underrated these players by the media actually are. Let's talk about Sergio for a second. An unbelievable player. Everyone knows how good Busquets was and no one, for some reason, doesn't talk about it. He may be the best defensive mid in the history of the beautiful game. It is really hard to compare defensive midfielders because you don't have specific stats to do that, but he has the most trophies by far, that's at least for sure. I could talk about the genius of Busquets all day, but the legends of the game have already done that for me with some beautiful quotes. You can stop the video if you want to read them all. But this, you watch the game, you don't see Busquets. You watch Busquets, you see the whole game. It's like he is a magnet to the ball. Every time the possession is gone to Barcelona, it's because of him, and every attack is started through him. It was beautiful football. And if you noticed in one of the previous quotes, the legendary Johan Cruyff also said that everyone at Barcelona talks about everyone else. They're all so good, but I'll be interested to see them when Busquets is no longer in the squad. And it has been pretty true until now. Barcelona isn't the same squad as last season, especially defensively since the departure of Busquets. Also playing an average 78 minutes per game in 750 games over 15 years. That's really similar or even better to the longevity of Francesc Totti. I don't remember a time when Busquets was injured. Whenever you watch Barcelona play, he's there on the pitch. Even after saying all of this, some people still not considering him in the top 3 would be absolutely absurd. I started to notice how underrated this player is, especially as I analyzed him for this video. On some lists for the greatest CDMs in history, Busquets is not even on the list, and on some he's not even in the top 5. Well, anyways, Sergio stayed in the La Liga almost his whole career because he didn't need to leave. Someone who felt the other way is David Josué Jiménez Silva, also known as Merlin. And when you look Merlin up on Wikipedia, it is a mythical figure best known as a magician, and also known as El Mago, which means magic. If you ask me, I would be proud of myself if I played in the same midfield with Xabi and Iniesta and I was the one who was nicknamed Magic. The streets will never forget David Silva. He definitely gets more recognition by the media than Busquets because of his days in England, almost winning everything, noticeably the international trophies, 4 Premier Leagues, 2 FA Cups, 5 League Cups, 3 Community Shields, also a probably surprising 2 Spanish Cups, Copa del Rey, and David Silva is also a under-19 European champion. An absolute Man City and Premier League legend, starting the comeback off versus QPR with his assist to Dzeko and laying the foundations of a new era for Manchester City. After that, he was slowly achieving the record of the youngest player ever to reach 200 wins in the Premier League. Yep, not Ryan Giggs or any of the players on that golden Manchester United generation in the 90s, but David Silva. The man has his own statue and he is somehow still underrated. I don't know why, but I know why he shouldn't be underrated, and there are many reasons. He's not only a legend of Man City, but definitely the Spanish national team. David Silva is the 4th top scorer of Spain. He has scored more goals for Spain than all these prolific forwards. Yep, it is that insane. And during his time in the Premier League, David Silva was the king and stayed the king for 10 seasons, having exactly 100 assists in those 10. Now looking at the graph, here appears one interesting name, a fellow Cesc. Cesc.
Fàbregas.
Oh, okay. Cesc Fàbregas, the player that assisted that iconic World Cup winner goal of Iniesta. He grew up in Barcelona and was part of the La Masia. Fàbregas played in the same team with Messi and Piqué but moved on to the Arsenal academy later on. He made his debut at 16 years old for Arsenal, and that was the season after the Invincible season, so he collected a lot of experience being around the Invincibles every day and somehow being able to debut alongside such names. Fàbregas also became the captain of Arsenal in 2008, being one of the youngest captains in Arsenal's history. What surprises me the most is how versatile Fàbregas was as a player. Just look at this image. And I really thought no player has done something like this, so James Milner decided to humble my thought really quickly. But it is absolutely incredible how good this man was in different positions, and that definitely helped Spain to reach such heights. He ended up going back to his childhood club FC Barcelona to play again with his friends from La Masia. He was there for 3 seasons, won every trophy in Spain and dipped back to London, but he switched to north for the west. He won there the missing English trophy in his cabinet, the Premier League. Nowadays, Fàbregas is shooting his shot as a manager, as he is the assistant manager in the Italian Serie B side Como, where they will play in the best league in Italy following promotion. This was definitely not the case when Fàbregas joined them, so fair play to Cesc. But going back to the player Fàbregas, he also has the same problem like David Silva. He is missing out on that one big trophy. The last player that I'm going to mention today is not missing that trophy, and he won it in the most epic way back in 2005 in that night in Istanbul. He's really popular nowadays, obviously because he's the boss of Bayer Leverkusen and he is doing a mind-blowing job for now. I didn't want to talk about this side of his career, but it is really hard not to when he is having results that have never been seen before in the Bundesliga. First of all, I'm going to say invincible. The squad out of Leverkusen joined a really incredible and famous group of squads to achieve the same feats. Even though not every story has a beautiful ending as they lost to Atalanta in the Europa League final, it is still a season forever written in the history books. There's no need to talk about it more because no words can describe this achievement. Even though he has pretty much proved himself as a coach for now, he has got a lot of work to do to be as good as the player he was. And that's why we are here. Like Fàbregas, he became the captain at 21 years old in 2002 at Real Sociedad, and I think that's definitely one of the biggest reasons why that Spain squad was so successful. We will take the 2010 World Cup final for example. Spain came out with a starting 11 consisting of 9 players who were already or soon to be captains of their respective teams. When you look at it like this, of course they won everything. They were hungry for the trophies like no other national team in football history. In that 2002-2003 season, Xabi Alonso almost won the La Liga as they missed out on the title by 2 points from Real Madrid. Liverpool immediately noticed the talent and grabbed Xabi for themselves. In his first season with Liverpool, Xabi Alonso already wrote himself into the history books because of the most historic final comeback in the Champions League. He won some more trophies with Liverpool and moved on to Real Madrid. In Spain, he won everything, as well as the La Decima, the 10th Champions League trophy for Real Madrid, so Xabi took part in some historical CL finals. 2012, despite being in the same league as so many elite midfielders that we talked about today and some other big names to add to, he won the La Liga midfielder of the season and overall played 80 minutes on average in 700 games in his club career while being a complete winner. Incredible. My mind can't even comprehend this, like how can some players be this good? I don't understand it. So why is this huge group of players so underrated? There are a few reasons. There are players who simply were able to take the step further, who were simply better than them. The second reason is that these players never necessarily did anything unordinary for the media to use them as the main character.
In 10 years that he's been here, he's probably not even done 10 interviews. We don't know a great deal about him. He's so unassuming, he's just got on with his football. He's always done his football on the pitch, done his football talking on the pitch.
They just did their jobs, did the jobs really, really good, and they were complete professionals on and off the field, and honestly, they must be looked at as role models for a successful football career. Third reason is that they aren't forwards. The fans and the media love the players who end up on the scoreboard. It is simply like that. But these 4 are certainly going into the history books, that's for sure. It is very unlikely for us to see such a generation ever again. The only national teams to be the champions of their respective continent and the world at the same time was West Germany in the 1970s, Brazil in the 2000s, and Argentina right now. No one of them has won 3 major tournaments in a row, but maybe Argentina can pull it off this summer. So the only team to do it in the history of football is a world-class back 5 and 6 midfielders enjoying themselves in the other 2/3 of the football pitch. And the crazy thing about this is, if one of them was not playing, only one of them, there is no way of such events happening as the three-peat, and here's why. Xavi assisted the goal in the 2008 final, Iniesta scored and Fàbregas assisted the goal in the 2010 final, Xabi Alonso scored 2 against France in the 2012 quarterfinals, David Silva started the 2012 final off with his header as the opening goal, and Busquets, well, he doesn't need to score or assist, everything is said when you just watch the man play. So every one of them was absolutely crucial for Spain, and that is why they are the golden generation of the golden generations. I really hope you enjoyed this video and feel free to subscribe if you did.